Our third story out front, a nuclear crisis. Tonight, Japan on the verge of classifying a toxic water leak at the crippled Fukushima nuclear plant a level 3 serious incident. That would be the highest warning since the massive meltdown following the earthquake and tsunami, those images now so famous around the world. Our Kyung-la was the first American broadcaster to report from inside the Fukushima plant right after the meltdown, and I want to play a portion of that extraordinary report.
We wore head-to-toe protective gear, full facial respirators, and hazmat suits. And then we drove up to the world's worst nuclear accident in 25 years.
This is our first look on the ground at the reactors. This is the heart of the nuclear problem in Japan. What you're seeing over my shoulder are the reactors. There are 4 of them. The 2 that you see over my right shoulder, those are 2 of the reactors that exploded in the early days of this disaster.
And Kyung-la is out front here with me tonight. I mean, Kyung, just amazing to watch that, the courage it would take, because it's one of those things you don't, at that moment, necessarily feel the risk that you're taking, and it could have such a serious toll. 2.5 years since this crisis. How serious is this, that this is happening now?
This is very serious. For this particular agency, the Japan Regulation, the Nuclear Regulation Authority, they don't take these moves lightly. So the fact that they're moving it from a level 1 to a level 3, this is very serious. This is very important, and the global community should take note. They even called the nuclear plant a house of horrors. So there is a ton of radioactive water that's being put into the ocean, this leak. So yes, it's very, very serious.
All right, so you talk about that they're saying house of horrors. And as you say, they're not prone to hyperbole there. So that, I mean, an unbelievable thing to say. Radioactive water's been just dumping into the Pacific Ocean. I mean, it sounds incredibly frightening. So how scared should people be?
Well, if you look at how the communities around Japan, the other countries around Japan have reacted, and you've seen them, ban Japanese products, ban Japanese cars, tea, anything that is Japanese,
wow,
in the immediate aftermath. And that fear is still there. You talk to Japanese merchants in Hong Kong, they say, oh, it's hurting our business. This isn't going to help them. But one thing for people to keep in mind is that the people most at risk are the ones who work at the plant. There's a big ocean between us and Japan.
Which is kind of amazing when you think about how horrible these things are, just the fact that there's a resiliency in Mother Nature for this kind of thing. I mean, on a personal note, I just want to look at that video again of you in that suit. I mean, that suit's fine and good, right? But that's not exactly going to protect you if something's really wrong, and that's something you knew. You were going into a really dangerous area. It took a lot of risk and a lot of courage. How worried were you?
Well, we're journalists. We want to be at the story, right?
That's right.
You've been there too. You want to go and cover it. I was wearing a dosimeter. You had to watch your clock. It was, you may notice that it was almost rushed as I was talking because we had to do it so quickly. So, you know, that was something you had to watch. You had to look at how much radiation your body was taking in because those suits don't protect you. I was breastfeeding at the time. I didn't breastfeed my son for about a week after that because I was, you know, concerned. I just wanted to make sure. And even when the initial disaster happened, the triple meltdown, I was pregnant. So, you know, you had to weigh what's the risk of covering the story versus the benefit for the public. So, I mean, I chose to stay.